Hi everyone, my name is Laurie. Welcome along to the full-time show. Hope you're well. We've just witnessed a North London derby today. Arsenal drawing 2-2 to Spurs, but I've got to admit it feels like a loss if I'm being honest. I've got my partner with me, James, in the house. How are you doing today, James?
Yeah, I'm deflated. I'm deflated after that result. It could have been worse. I think a draw is fair. I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, Tottenham probably deserve to win it." I don't agree with that, but yeah, Arsenal fell well short of expectations today.
Yeah, I think if you look at the stats of the game, it was pretty even. Obviously, the goals were even. I think shots on goal were roughly the same. Shots on target roughly the same. Spurs did have a quite significant amount more possession than we did, that tells its own story. The fact that we surrendered a lot of, well, when I say surrendered, Spurs had more possession than us on our own ground. It's not often you're going to see that. I think the only other team that you might want to see that is City. But to me, we just weren't at the races today. I don't know why. It's difficult to explain why, because I think it's fair to say that we came into this game with a lot of optimism, especially after the Champions League game fresh in the PSV. Our hopes are up. And maybe that's what's driven the disappointment that I'm feeling now, because although it was 2-2, I just felt that Spurs were the better side. I think they were definitely the moral victors. I think Ange got his tactics right, whereas we were struggling throughout. And yeah, it just wasn't a good day for us.
I think it's also a pile-on of bad news and bad information from cool, you draw the game, but then you look at the fact that we led twice, 1-0 and 2-1. You look at the Jesus miss, you look at the fact that Jorginho gives the ball away so stupidly for the goal. You know, if I'm to say to you, because there was a good sort of debate, Turkish was saying that they had the better chances, Tottenham, in the game. I'm still not sure I fully agree with that. I think the better just landed to Arsenal, but we were far from our best, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I thought they looked more professional than us. I thought they looked more assured in what they were trying to do. But when I say a pile-on of bad information, I just mean the way the goals went in, the injuries coming into this with Trossard unavailable. We had that confirmed today. So why is that before every game there's one big player, who is either in great form or has been important, in the last game, whatever it might be. Trossard might have been the difference today in terms of we weren't at our best, but maybe you find something, a little bit of magic. It could have been Trossard, Martinelli, Timber, Partey out. And there are excuses, but I'm saying it's not an excuse for why we didn't win today. I'm just saying I think the reason we feel so deflated is that it's all this information. It's also taking in the fact that Tottenham looked so much more, I keep using the word professional. I think that's what they were. There was so much about Arsenal today that I just felt was so, I can't think of a better word than silly, like immature. There was just like the huddle at half time. And I kind of agree with Turkish. Like, you're doing that in the changing room. So what's the huddle on the pitch for after? People might think I'm doing too much, but it's just little things like that I was like, Tottenham just strolled out ready to get on with the second half. Yeah. Every time a goal went in, I said this to my fan camp, every time a goal went in the back of the net, they responded better. So when we scored to go 1-up and then 2-1 up, they responded better to the goals. And when they got their equalisers, they built on the momentum. So every time the ball went into the back of the net and the score changed, they responded better to that. Again, I don't think Arteta did anything wrong on the touchline, but very animated. Postecoglou, a cool, calm character on the touchline. And I just felt all this lends to why Tottenham were far more assured in everything they tried to do. And that's what I found difficult watching about Arsenal today. It was like, you're all looking quite amateurish from the mistakes you're making. I think Arteta got the team selection wrong. I think he got the subs really wrong. And largely Arsenal, I don't think we're fortunate to come out with a point. I think for how bad we played, it might feel like that. But I still think when you look at that first half, we could have had that game wrapped up within the first 30 to 35 minutes. And that, for everything I've just said, that's important to recognise as well. That actually, it was somewhat going to plan until, Jesus makes a mistake by not scoring, Xhaka makes an error, Maddison puts on a plate for Son, and then the game's completely different. So once again,
let's go back to something that you said earlier in your piece, where you spoke about you thought the manager got the team selection wrong. So if you could just elaborate on that a little bit, where do you think he got it wrong and why?
So look, when you're when you're on the watch along and the starting 11's announced, you know, you somewhat try and just look at the positives. So Eddie's leading the line. Did anyone in the predicted 11 or whatever call Freddie Nketiah? No. You know, we were all talking about Trossard, Jesus. If not Trossard, then Nelson. Who knows? Could Martinelli be fit? You know, and I saw someone actually, a guy called Mo, who I follow on Twitter, was saying you could play Havertz up top and Jesus left if that's how you want to do it. But I didn't really see what the benefit to Nketiah leading the line was going to be. That's what he went with. But you know what? The chances still felt... I thought we pressed them quite well in the first half. We forced them into a few errors. Maddison and Basuma giving the ball away in dangerous areas, and Arsenal just didn't capitalise. But more frustratingly is the way Arteta managed the game in terms of we were getting completely walked through. And he should have recognised that you either needed Tomiyasu in there. By the way, the back four did fine for me. I thought I can't blame them. But Tomiyasu helps you sustain pressure and have a little bit of structure defensively. Or you bring in El Neni to help Jorginho, who was getting overrun in there. I don't think Havertz had any positive impact whatsoever. That doesn't mean I think everything he did was terrible, but I don't think he had any positive impact on the game. I'm not sure why Jesus comes off and Nketiah stays on.
Yeah, that did baffle me, that did.
Yeah, and you know, the players didn't look sharp and ready and in the right mindset. So
I mean,
that ultimately falls with the manager when it's all 11. You think, well, what's gone on there then? And obviously, you know, we hate to say it, but part of why we haven't played so well is Tottenham played well.
Yeah,
there is that as well.
Yeah, I was quite impressed with Tottenham. They came into this game with a degree of confidence. Unlike us, they were unbeaten in the season, and they're still unbeaten. But I was quite impressed with the way they played it, with their composure, with the balance of the side. And as I said previously, I think even though the game was a draw, I think definitely today Tottenham emerged as the moral victors. Right, we've got some callers. Ryan's on the line. Ryan,
hey, Ryan, how you doing, man?
Resplendent in his red top.
Ryan,
Ryan,
guys, man. Yeah.
Take it away, bro. What's your thoughts on the game today?
Feels like a defeat. I can't lie, man. I'm very deflated. Like,
that's exactly what I said in my Fanka.
When I look at both halves, on the first half and second half, I agree with what you said not long ago, James. In that first half, I think we had the opportunities to kill that game away. Eddie Nketiah had two good chances in that first half, and Gabriel Jesus, where we nicked it off of him, and where we nicked it off of, I think it was Romero, and then Odegaard takes it and passes it to Jesus. I'm sorry, you've got to bury that, man. If we go 2-0 up, it's a different game, and I think we run away with this game. But it's little fine details like that. Because then, when Tottenham then make it 1-1 with Song, and it was a great bit of play from Maddison to turn away from Bukayo Saka and equalise for them, that kind of got them into their stride a little bit. And big fair play to Ange Postecoglou, man. He stuck to their game plan. Tottenham, they were they never really looked, as mad as this sounds, they never really looked in mad amounts of danger, even when we took the lead, because then they always reacted well. And I was looking at Arteta and Ange on the touchlines, and Ange looked a lot more relaxed, and as he had that stance and that presence about himself, as if, don't worry, guys, just hang in there, and whatever happens, happens. Whereas, listen, I'm all for celebrating with Bukayo Saka. Even I got excited and happy. But you know what they always say in football? Whenever you're 2-1 up or go up, that's when you're at your most vulnerable point. And when Tottenham went up the other end and scored, I just thought to myself, Jorginho, I don't know what he was doing. I was fuming, James and Laurie. I don't know. Yeah. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He had so many options where he could have played a simple pass back to Saliba or Gabriel. And we've seen Jorginho do it before, where he dilly-dallies and he slightly overthinks on the ball. But I look at the second half as well, and there was a 5-minute spell where we had back-to-back corners from the left, right, and I'm just looking at myself. If Saka could get one of these crosses on point, or even Reece Nelson when he took a couple, if we could have just got one of them right, we could have potentially still have nicked this game and won it 3-2 in the end. But I do think on the other side of it, Tottenham they had a game plan. I thought Ange would have gone into his shell a little bit and stuck to a game plan of where he would have sat back a little bit. But fair play to Tottenham, man. As much as we hate them, they stuck to their game plan. They hit us on the counter-attack at times. But I'm just very deflated and disappointed, man.
Yeah, likewise.
We're 4 points behind City. We still got to remember it's early on. It's still early days, but this is a game where we know we needed to win today.
Yeah,
but you know what they say: if you can't win it, make sure you don't lose it as well. So it's a bit of a catch-22 as well. But I don't know what
I think that's the only real positive I can take away from today's game, to be honest.
Honestly,
we didn't lose, because I said to James, and I said it during my fan cam as well, that for me, that was comfortably our worst performance of the season so far.
100%.
In terms of the lack of control, the passing, we didn't
fluidity.
We didn't have any potency up top. I think the defenders did well. I thought Saliba and Gabriel played well.
I think it's a good point you made there, to be honest. Our defense, I'd say Gabriel, Saliba and Saka are the only 3 players for me that come off that pitch for Arsenal with their heads held high.
Yeah.
With a saying that they did their job today and they really looked up to it. Zinchenko got caught out of positions at times on the left-hand flank. Martinelli and Trossard, I don't want to really use the excuse, I don't really want to make excuses too tough, but we lost a lot of quality on that left-hand side. We could have done with either one of them today, let alone losing both. And Jesus did a good job on that left-hand side today, but I think Saka and Martinelli, the way our Martinelli plays in particular, he likes to drive at players, and Jesus did a lot of that, but Martinelli would commit 1 or 2 players to come onto his side, a bit like how Saka does on the right. And I think we would have possibly made Tottenham go down to 10 men today, because we pull players out of their positions a little bit with them too. And Trossard's very smart at getting into pockets and creating spaces for Odegaard to then pull out to the right. And then Ben White tries to overlap on the right to support Saka. It was just a little bit, we were missing that little bit of a cutting edge. And Rice, we don't know the extent of his injury as well.
I've got to ask you, so we've got a few more callers waiting to come in, but I want to ask you this question. So Havertz come on at half-time. As you know, £65 million big money signing. You're expecting a guy like that to come in and, at least impact the game. I thought he was pretty poor today. But is that a view shared by you, or what do you think? I
completely agree with you, Laurie. I mean, I'm trying to be as positive as I can with Havertz, but listen, let's face it, we've played 6 games now, and yes, it's still early days. We haven't played double digits, but I'm not seeing anything, guys, man. He came on and I thought he was disappointing today. The only 2 games I'll say he played well during the week against PSV, I'd say. Gave us a little bit of something against Everton, but I've just been disappointed with Havertz, man. And I feel like I wouldn't have played him at all today. But I think with Jorginho coming on, I was watching the game with my brother and I was saying to myself, why is Declan Rice come off? But I'm hearing it's a bit of a tight calf. Yeah, so I'm looking at the bench and I'm thinking maybe could he have brought on El Neni to shore things up a little bit to give Jorginho that cover. But I also look at the fact, Laurie, that who else could you really bring on? El Neni could have came on, but is El Neni up to match fitness right now? Those are little things that we maybe have to take into consideration. But
okay, bro. Listen,
it's unfortunate.
James, I don't know if you've got any questions for the call.
No, I agree with most of what you said there. Yeah. It
was a disappointing day at the office. But listen, bro, thank you very much for your call.
Appreciate it, guys, man.
Speak again soon. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
See the Kai Havertz stuff, right?
Yeah.
I was saying at the end of the watch along, he's at. I should take these glasses off. I really don't need them. Kai Havertz for me is like you try to see patterns in the players that Arteta likes and the players that Arteta puts a lot of stock into and is willing to be patient with. I don't understand why he's been so patient with Eddie Nketiah, but I can turn to things like his work rate, his attitude, and there is some quality there. Don't get me wrong. No one's saying he's useless, but he's not the level of Jesus and some of our starters, right? With Havertz, the thing that's missing for me, it's not that he doesn't try hard. I think he works hard. I think he tried to win the ball back, but there's something so flimsy about him. There's something he's 6'3", but he doesn't move like someone who's 6'3". It feels like you can bully him off the ball. It feels like he's really nervous to get a pass right. And Arteta likes players who take responsibility, say, give me the ball and I'll try and make something happen. If I get it wrong, But that's what Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, they're always trying things. And Havertz, has just always looked far too safe to me. He whipped in a cross, late in the game, and I saw there's two problems with this. A, I've never seen you cross before for Arsenal, so okay, or it wasn't a great cross. Second, I'm thinking, well, actually, you should be in the box, and that's not his fault. That's maybe Arteta's fault. So I don't think he's using him right, if there is a right way to use him. So look, that it'd be wrong to make today a discussion about Kai Havertz, because the game was going wrong before Kai Havertz got on the pitch. And it's not Kai Havertz's fault that Jorginho gives the ball away. And it's not Kai Havertz's fault that Jesus doesn't take his massive chance. Nor is it Eddie's fault for those two things. But they do just feel like a step down in quality to what we believe we need to beat City to the title, but also in terms of, I don't know, what we've seen good from this Arsenal team. Once again, Jesus isn't up front where he can piece everything together, and Arsenal look like they lack fluidity. Like, is this a coincidence now?
I don't think it is. I think what we're seeing, particularly from Havertz, is a player that's struggling for confidence. And there was a couple of incidents in that game that I could highlight. Notably, there was one cross that came in, and Havertz, you would expect him to challenge for the ball, and he did neither. It did look at first glance as he might even ducked out the way. Yeah, and then there was another shot that he took on that just, I think the ball's still in the air now.
Yeah,
what I mean? It's just not happening for him. And I do actually feel a degree of empathy for him, but he definitely needs a performance of some sort.
But you know what? When callers come in, we're going to take our next one in a sec. Please don't make Kai Havertz the sole focus of your conversation, because he absolutely didn't do enough. But Reece Nelson, I don't think, had a great impact.
No, I wasn't impressed.
Jorginho certainly didn't. He had actually a negative impact. Like, he literally was the reason we conceded that second goal.
Yeah, he looked like he was sleeping, mate.
And the thing about Arsenal, and this is where I want to just be measured, because when in defeat, we can all do the humble thing and go, Tottenham were good, man, and fair play to you lot. And there is credit to give to Tottenham, and I've given some of that. I said they were more assured in what they did. I said they were more professional. I said they had a calmer head and they managed the occasion better, all that. And they played some good stuff. But I still don't think they actually created that much, really. No. And I think if it's not for our mistakes, if we defend like a proper team committed to defending, like we do something, like we do away from home, at Goodison, for example, like we did in the week against PSV, if we don't switch off and Saka doesn't show Maddison the direction towards goal, you can say good skill from Maddison. I think it's poor defending from Saka. You can say, it's a good finish from Son and a good breakaway, but it's appalling from Jorginho. Ryan makes a good save from Brennan Johnson. When I look at that back, actually, Johnson kind of scuffs it. He didn't really connect with it properly. I don't think Tottenham were like miles ahead of us. I just think if we did some of the basics right and showed a better head on our shoulders, a little bit more clinical and a little bit more professional, I just think we win this game fairly comfortably. That's not taking the credit away from Tottenham that they deserve. They did play some really good stuff, and like I said, and everything else I just mentioned. But I can't help but feel that we dropped the ball more than it was taken away from us.
Interesting. But I do think you make some excellent points there. I'm being told we got another caller on the line. Have we?
Believe we do.
Right. Yes.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. How you guys doing, sir?
All good.
I've got to say, a little deflated. You saw the game. To me, even though it was a draw, in many ways it feels like a loss. Maybe I'd built up too much expectation before this game. Obviously, this game coming off the back of our tremendous win during the week, I was very up for this game, and I was thinking that, we're going to do a number on Spurs today. And that's not to say I didn't rate Spurs, but I just thought the way we played on Wednesday, I just thought the vibes going into this game would be such that we'd be able to capitalise off Wednesday and get the win. But you know what? When it got to about 75 minutes, I told these guys on the fan cam, I said, you know what, I'll take the draw now. That's how bad we were playing. But anyway, enough of me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that too. Like we came from last week, like really good. And I thought we were going to literally they're going to go play us at our game. They're going to leave spaces. We're going to flush them like Turkish was saying. The thing is, and I know you're not going to like to hear this, Laurie, because you're a big defender of Nketiah. But if you look at the game, versus PSV, and you look at the game here, we lacked fluidity, and it's because Eddie Nketiah starts for us up top, and he doesn't link up play with everybody, and so we lose that fluidity. If I was Arteta, I would have gone. You can't start Reece Nelson because he's just not up to it starting in the North London derby yet. So I would have gone Jesus on the left, and Havertz up top, because Havertz gives like that. He has that creative part in him.
Although it has to be said that so far Havertz is not really played that well, so you can understand why he didn't even start today. I mean, James, what do you say to that? I mean, personally, I just want to say that I was happy for Eddie to start because I think what the manager was trying to do was accommodate Gabriel and Eddie in the same team. So it made sense for Gabriel to drift out wide onto the left and Eddie to go through the middle rather than the other way around. So I do see where he was going with that. But I've got to say, it didn't quite work out. Anyway, James.
Our criticism has to be fair, because like I said, that first half, despite looking far from our best, I think we had more than enough to be 2 goals up in that half. I genuinely believe that, and I don't feel any differently now having watched the rest of the game. So there's things about the 11 he must have got right then, because Tottenham had a good spell of the ball for the first 10 minutes, but they didn't do anything with it. An offside goal, but he was miles off, whatever. They didn't do anything. It wasn't until we scored that they started to get in the game. But even then, I felt we had a decent control of where they were. I thought we were pressing quite well, like I said. So, cool, you went with Eddie. And while we weren't at our fluid best, we had enough in that game via a good press and, making the most of some sort of loose Tottenham passes or whatever. We had enough in there, I felt, to be leading at half-time and fairly comfortably leading at half-time. And another error cost us a goal. I just look at the substitutions more than anything. My fan cam's just come out on AFTV and I said Arteta had a howler. I think it is more his management of the occasion and the substitutions. What did you make of the subs out of interest?
Yeah, completely. You're right. I mean, we lost. I wouldn't have taken off Vieira because Vieira has a lot more work rate than Rice than Havertz. Because if you're going to take off Rice because of an injury, you can't leave Jorginho with Havertz. That's not going to press the same way Vieira is. And for me, Eddie Nketiah can't play the 100 minutes. For me, it was Eddie Nketiah for Nelson on the wing, and Jesus back in the middle.
I must admit, with the benefit of hindsight, this is my hindsight, and obviously not yours, because you wanted that from the start. I do think that does make sense. I was an advocate for Eddie to start because I do think that his work rate and his intensity and his pressing would have caused Tottenham, I would have thought, more problems. But hey, it is what it is. 2-2, at least we didn't lose. But listen, bro, thanks very much for your call.
One last thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
If you can see, I think it would have gone a whole lot different because when Jesus was out, when Eddie starts up top, you can see less from Martinelli, you can see less from Xhaka and everything. If I was Arteta, I would be right on the phone with Ivan Toney, saying, "Get your ass here. I need you here."
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be averse to that. I'm sure a lot of Arsenal fans wouldn't be averse to that, but we'll have to see how that situation plays out. But listen, thanks very much for your call, bro. You must call back soon. Appreciate it.
Because I've got a lot of comments. I'm going to read some super chats in just a sec. We've got a lot of comments saying stop getting on Eddie Nketiah's back. But I think what people need to recognise is the difference here. No one's sitting here saying, and some might think this, but between me and Laurie, we're not sitting here going, Eddie Nketiah was terrible, he's the reason we lost or whatever. But we have to understand that Nketiah playing was a decision made by Arteta. And I believe it worked against us. I believe he tactically got that wrong, Arteta. And we stood a better chance of winning that game with Jesus leading the line. And Reece Nelson coming in on the left. That's, and going more with what we know. I also think a big thing that it can't be addressed till January now, but I definitely think there's something wrong about the balance of our midfield three. Last year, Partey, Xhaka and Odegaard, it was very balanced. Xhaka would slot in and he was, he'd stay tight to Partey and they were kind of a good team. Now we're sort of looking at Rice to do all the work, but he struggled today. Sarr, Basuma and Maddison caused him problems, but he wasn't bad either. but Rice and Odegaard trying to get in the game. It just felt like, it feels like we haven't really addressed that midfield issue properly, if I'm honest. So I'm looking at like Havertz coming on and I'm complaining, but then I'm like, but Vieira didn't do well. So it's not Havertz, and who is it? Smith Rowe? Well, am I convinced that's right? So there's a problem there in midfield. Our balance doesn't look right at all, and Tottenham, were able to have some joy in that area.
Yep, I can see that for sure. We got another caller on the line.
How you doing?
Hello, sir. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm James, so James got a nice name, but I'm calling from London.
It's a great name. It's a great name. How is this James feeling about the result?
Well, it's funny because what you just said is, you said, am I going to blame Eddie and Kaya that we lost? We didn't lose. So it feels,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Exact same way as you. It feels like we lost. It feels like we kind of, we were a bit lethargic. The second ball, we weren't there a lot. And our press was really good. But it was, as soon as they beat the first line of the press, that Jesus, Xhaka, Odegaard press, we kind of looked flat. And, that was the kind of game today that reminded me of the old times when Aubameyang was there. Because Aubameyang, that game where Tottenham had come and attack us and they played to attack us, it reminds me of the old dog where Aubameyang was there, man. Imagine we still had him now. It should bring him back. But yeah, it was good.
Do you know, if it reminded me of Wenger days where we went through a spell where we went 3 North London derby draws in a row with them. This was probably between the years of 2015 and 2017, something like that. And I remember thinking to myself, it was such a wasted opportunity every time, because you felt that we were in the ascendancy, we could play the football, but then when you look at the stats, they had more of the ball than us. So what was that? Was that Arsenal and Arteta, gifting possession and tactically switching it up? But then that's probably a complete disservice to Tottenham, who play some really nice football on the ball. I keep saying it, I don't think it amounted to necessarily much more better chances than us, but they're the away team. They needed to control the occasion more than us, and they did it brilliantly. I hate them because they're our rivals, but if I were neutral, I'd have a lot of admiration for the way Tottenham approach this game of football, mentally and tactically.
Yeah, I would say that of the two managers, certainly Ange Postecoglou imposed his tactics on the game far more than our manager did. I've got to ask you, James, what's your thoughts on the Havertz thing?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of in James's court as well with this. I don't think it was Havertz's fault per se. Sorry, my brother's screaming outside. I don't think it was Havertz's fault per se. I think the reason he came on is because Raya was going direct a lot of the time, and Eddie was there, but the way he was trapping the ball with his back to goal wasn't great. And you're talking about Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney is categorically the best back-to-goal striker in the league. So someone like him receiving those Raya balls knocked up top. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Havertz today. I don't think he played poorly. I think your comment about him moving weird is I don't think that's fair. I think.
Which one?
As in Laurie, you were saying the way he moved was just odd. Or something.
No. What I said, there was an incident in the second half where a corner came in from the right-hand side, and it was basically a goal-scoring opportunity for him had he attacked the ball. In fact, at that time, you could even see the Arsenal substitutes on the bench. They were all jumping up as if to... And then they realised that he didn't attack the ball. And to me, that just kind of sums up his lack of confidence at the moment. I believe there's a player in there, but he needs a good game. But anyway, bro. Anyway, James, thank you very much for your call. You made some very good points there, and hopefully you call back.
Please do call back, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care, bro. Nice one.
Let's go through some super chats quickly. Gabriel says they didn't show any fight, no passion from the boys. It feels like a loss. Bradkey James says, unfortunately, as an Aussie goon, I can only see Spurs getting stronger from here. Ange is the most lethal in second and third season after a couple of windows. Worrying being outpossessed at home like that. Samir says it wasn't Jorginho. It wasn't Jorginho's game, I believe. Rice wasn't injured. Interesting. Madison cooked Saka. He did for the goal, I agree. Tommy says, I love Jesus and how he wins the ball back without committing fouls. It's a real craft he has, but that miss is unforgivable. We really should have been 3-0 at half time. This is what I'm saying. yes, of course, you analyse a whole 90 minutes, but the order in which it happened matters. And to go 1-0 up and then have the chance to go 2-0 up, and that is excluding the fact that Eddie should have scored or squared it to Vieira, one or the other. But okay, Vicario makes a save. Jesus forces a good save out of Vicario as well. You know, with those opportunities, we could or should have been minimum 2-0 up. Maybe a third if you're really cashing in on your XG. But maybe 2-0 at the minimum. Instead, it goes to 1-1 because we don't get our chance right. Do you know what Arteta said against Everton? I think he said, or was it PSV? I think it was PSV. After that game, he said, we were brilliant in both boxes. What he meant was we had some defending to do, but we defended our box brilliantly. And then we got in around their box. We were lethal. We got shots away. We forced saves from the keeper. We weren't that today. And, you know, there were opportunities for Arsenal, but they never looked at all convincing. They never looked at all... Right. Yeah. I don't know. There was no...
there was no cutting edge, really, was it?
You know, when we beat them 3-1 last season, at home, we just looked really, like, sure of what we were doing.
And we looked
everything.
Sharp.
Yeah.
And cutting. Today, we were blunt and impotent up front.
And I still think Arteta shares some blame for that.
Yeah.
We're going to get Frank on in a sec, so I'll swap out with him. Let me just go through the rest of these super chats. Not worried. Abdullah says, not worried about the result. Oh, sorry, I've lost it. Not worried about the result as much as the injuries. We'll learn. Worst performance, didn't lose it. If we beat Bournemouth and City, we forget this one. But we need Rice, Vieira, Xhaka, Martinelli, and Leandro Trossard fit. I agree. DDMK, THFC, it's clear Tottenham fan, says, Saliba was the reason you got a draw. I said Saliba was good.
I said he was very good player of the match, and I took some stick for that from Turkish because he didn't think Saliba had a good game. I beg to.
Farhan's in the comments saying, James, how was Saliba brilliant today? When he gave the ball, when he balls gave away so many times, but Gabriel, you won't mention, who didn't make any mistake. I was much better than blue-eyed Saliba. Be real, please. Farhan, only you or people who want to hear a certain thing can hear me say one thing about another player and therefore make an assumption about the other. When did I say Gabriel wasn't good? When did I say Saliba was better than Gabriel?
On the contrary,
I said our back four were our best players.
Yeah, exactly.
I said they're the only ones who actually, and they conceded 2 goals. So, you know, if you want to make shit up...
And one of those goals was, let's face it, courtesy of Jorginho basically handing that goal to Tottenham. So
I just thought, let me have a little look here. I'm just doing this off the spot. I don't know if Saliba is going to pop up in anything. It doesn't look like he is. But everyone kept talking about him giving the ball away. I just want to double check. William Saliba, where is he? William Saliba. 44 out of 49 passes. I hardly call that giving the ball away all the time, is it? No. When you consider he's got so 5 passes didn't make it out of 50.
I think basically. There was one of those passes that he misplaced.
Yeah,
but and then he made the recovery run and made the tackle.
He got it back.
Yeah, so
he was making last-ditch tackles. He was having to get in when it opened up. Yeah. He was heading the ball away. Saliba was good today. Was Gabriel also good? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my word! I mean, you people come here angry sometimes and just make up opinions that no one has delivered.
You've got James angry.
No,
he's coming for you.
It just pisses me off, like, because if we're ever going to progress as a club, right, I get it. As fans, we want to be somewhat reactionary and emotional, say, oh, we're feeling fine. But we're on a show here where we're talking for an hour and we've got the opportunity to actually try and understand what went wrong. And that's why I'm doing Tactical Insights, an opportunity to try and understand what went wrong in the game. And trying to, you know, point score with, how was Saliba good? You didn't even mention Gabriel. Where does that get us?
You know what I would say on that, though? And this is something that maybe I've been guilty of in the past. And listen, I really like Gabriel. And I've been saying, ever since those two were reunited, back in the team, I said, listen, man, that's one of the best things to happen to us this season, because I couldn't understand for the life of me why Gabriel had missed the first couple of games. But anyway, what I would say about Gabriel and Saliba is that I think it's fair to say that Saliba is a little easier on the eye.
Yeah.
So he can give the impression that he's having a really good game. I mean, don't get me wrong, Gabriel had a good game today, but for me, Saliba looked composed, he looked controlled. I thought he was really good. I had confidence in him, and like I said, even when he did misplace a pass, he made the recovery run and tackle. So
yeah, I agree.
Can't say much more than
Farhan, like, I'll give you the right reply. To be fair, he's come back and said, "Oh, I've lost the comment." You said Saliba was brilliant, but didn't even mention Gabriel. That's why. Exactly, Fahana. Didn't firstly, I mentioned the back four. But yes, I didn't single out Gabriel. So why, form an opinion I haven't made? That's what annoys me when we're doing there's a lot to talk about in a 90-minute game of football.
And if you remember as well, just on that, I did say to you during the watch along, we both said that Ben White also had a decent game.
Yeah, I thought Ben White was fine. I really think the defence, considering they were so exposed and so many times Tottenham were running at them, I thought they did fine. I can't blame the defence and goalkeeper. I think they were asked a lot of questions. You can't blame them for the Son one. You can't blame them for either one. Could they get a block in on Son's first goal? Maybe. But I think it's just well played by Maddison and a good finish by Son. He got there first.
Yeah, the run from Maddison sort of totally upended Xhaka.
Yeah.
He got the cross in. Could Declan Rice have got to who was it who started it? Son,
yeah.
A little quicker?
I think so could Saliba, so could White. I think they all maybe could have.
Yeah,
it's one of those where I think Maddison's picked him out really well. And because if they are closer to him and then Maddison puts it somewhere else, you're always going to say, well, why weren't they there? It's just, we should do better with it. But I'm looking much more at the missed chances. And I'm not even saying we had an abundance of chances. I bet Tottenham fans watching this are going, what chances? I think somewhere in between. We could and should have been 2-0 up minimum.
Oh, definitely.
But second half, we didn't create anywhere near enough. But I'm talking about that first half. And I look at that a lot more than our defending. I actually don't think our defending was terrible. I think we were sloppy on the ball. But I don't think our defending was that bad today. It's just a shame. I know we've got other callers. We're going to bring in Frank. I just want to get through Super Chats apologies. I know a lot of you have been waiting a long time. Lucius says, everyone except Arsenal have mid-players with excellent coach and team ethics. Not one world-class player like Madrid, City, Liverpool get a striker. Everyone except Arsenal, have mid. Anyway, Jimmy says players look frustrated when the plan doesn't work and they look to Arteta to make positive changes and he doesn't. But the players have got to figure it out on the pitch. Real Madrid Arsenal says Arteta killed the game by taking Jesus off. No press from the front. Havertz a liability. We need a refund ASAP. Thomas says, great show, guys. Tactically, we didn't look at it today, in my opinion. We looked rather lackluster at home this season. Sick of gifting goals. I agree. Two-way street sign. Interesting name. Says, some things we need to do as Arsenal fans. Shut up about Man City. Put on the blinders and run our own race. Respect every opponent no matter who they are. Take this hit on the chin and move. Momo says miss Martinelli's energy and Partey's control. I think some really good super chats there that have definitely touched on some things I certainly agree with. All right, I'm going to bring in Frank, everyone, and we've got the next caller as well. So go for it. Go take the next caller.
We've got another caller on the line. I must say there's a striking resemblance to Eddie Nketiah. I bet you've been told that before, ain't it?
I've actually never been.
Okay, I'm sorry, bro. But your thoughts on the game?
Well, first of all, speaking of Nketiah, I have been hearing a lot of people. I don't agree. I thought Arteta knew that Spurs were going to get out the back, and he's doing his best, 3 attacking pressers to press the ball and to get opportunities like that. I thought it was working in the first half, to be honest, with Jesus pressing from the left side, Xhaka pressing from the right, and Nketiah pressing from the middle, and Odegaard sort of just doing it all. And I thought that first half, it was working perfect, if you want me to be honest. To be honest, I think that, there was a stat during halftime that had the least touches on the ball of any player. So Nketiah didn't have a lot of touches, but neither did their striker either. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And his main thing was just to it was sort of a tactical thing, where all of our teams attackers can just press and get a goal from there and make them uncomfortable. And I don't know if you guys agree or not, but I do feel in the first half that was working. And then obviously with everyone pressing like that, it leaves a gap, but Rice can hold that gap. That's why he's worth 100 million or whatever. But then if Rice gets injured, it's Jorginho. I think that's where it changed, because, and I rate Jorginho fully, but I just don't think everyone in the league can just be that sole CDM to hold it down, especially with a midfield as good as Spurs. So then because of that, the whole tactic shifted. If you notice, we started pressing left. We started pressing less. I saw Turkish and the rest of the group getting upset that there's less energy. I noticed that too. But I don't know, to give credit to Arteta, I think it was just circumstantial. Rice got injured. I don't know what happened, but Rice couldn't play anymore. That really shifted everything. Yeah. I don't agree that Havertz was the right sub to put in, and neither was Jorginho, but I don't know.
I'll be honest, I wasn't against Havertz coming on because we discussed it at half time and we said that he very well could come on in the second half. And actually, he actually came on earlier than I thought, because I think you will agree with me that it's not often you see Arteta make changes at half time like that. And so he brought over Havertz on at half time. I think where it went a bit awry is that Havertz didn't have the impact that we were expecting. But anyway, I'll bring in Frank. Frank, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I really, me personally, I didn't get the Kai Havertz change either. I don't know how we're going to make this work with Kai Havertz. I'm really hoping it works out eventually. I don't wish anything bad on anyone, but we need to figure out how we're going to make that work. But
why not?
I don't know what he offers at this very moment in time. I can't think of any performance above a 6.
Where would you play him? Midfield or striking? Because we're being told he can do both.
So my understanding of the signing is that we brought him in to try and play that 8 role, and it was something new to him. But if you're going to try and do that, you need to fully commit to it. I personally don't rate him as a striker. I don't think he's got the necessary work rate to be in that position. We need someone like a Gabriel Jesus who's going to be able to involve himself in the play as well as score the goals. And Havertz, he's not got the best of finishing abilities, anyways. Which is 101 for a striker, and I just don't think he links up the play very well. But I want to bring that back because obviously you said that you didn't necessarily agree with the Jorginho substitution. The only other real option we had there was Mohamed El Neni. Would you have brought El Neni on instead?
That's a good point. You know what I think? Substitution works, but I just don't think it works with Havertz because I think someone said it before. It's just too. There's just not enough energy there. He at least understands what it means to play Spurs. He'll come with the energy. He'll make the tackle. We'll start to replicate that first half performance where we're pressing, we're putting in the tackles. But at the end, we have a midfield of Havertz and Jorginho. It's not like it's almost inevitable that their midfield is gonna overpower that. But there's not enough energy. There's not enough fight, and I think that's what happened.
Okay, yeah, interesting points. Take those on board. Noted. Thank you very much, bro.
Thank you very much.
Good call. Good call. Thank you. Yeah, so he's not happy, and well, I don't think there'll be too many people that will be happy.
Understandably as well.
Yeah, it was a pretty. Right, we've got another caller on the line.
Hey,
you are, sir?
Malcolm.
Nice to meet you, Malcolm.
If you don't mind, where are you calling him from? If you don't mind me asking.
Essex.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right, just down the road.
Dagenham boy myself, so big up Essex.
Essex in the house. Okay, so what was your thoughts on the game?
It's upsetting. That's why I called in today. And a lot. This week I was excited, looking forward to this game. I go buy myself a Prime. Do you know what I mean? Big game, but very, very upset.
I think that's part of the whole disappointment, isn't it? Because I was like you. I was looking forward to this game, man. I came into this game with a lot of confidence, especially after what we saw on Wednesday, where we were flowing, we were scoring goals. The fluidity looked to be back. So I'm coming into this game now, I'm thinking, yeah, man. I was a little disappointed to learn that Trossard was going to miss the game. So immediately I thought, oh, that put me on the back foot a little bit. But still, I didn't expect to see what I saw today. I knew Tottenham would be better than they normally are. But even so, I expected us to raise our game and come through and get the win. And to be honest, we never really looked like we were going to do that today.
Yeah, I agree. And I knew that Tottenham would come in the front as well. But I thought, it's Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The Champions League, I thought that the boys would turn up as well. But unfortunately, I guess I'm tired to be. I see Odegaard perform. And he doesn't perform. Like, you want who else next to step up? Be that.
You mentioned Odegaard there. I actually thought Odegaard was hindered by the booking he picked up early in the first half.
I agree.
Because a large part of his game is the pressing. He does a lot of running off the ball. And you could see once he got booked, he was a bit circumspect about going into challenges and stuff like that. So that rendered his game, it weakened his game in that regard. Frank, you got any point?
What was that on to the Odegaard situation?
Odegaard, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I completely agree. Like that first, I think Turkish said it in his fan cam. That first 20 minutes, Odegaard's pressing was relentless. He was almost playing very high, almost as like a second striker in a way. But the second he got that yellow card, you know, nothing you can do about it. He just needs to be careful. You saw it in the, I think when Kai Havertz came on, he got a yellow card for, you know, slipping over, for example. So if it was Odegaard that went and did that, that would have been a second yellow.
Yeah.
You know, so he quite understandably had to be cautious, and it was a massive shame because I thought he was going to be a very key player today in this game. He's got a very good record against Spurs as well, so it's a massive shame.
Could I just ask you something that we've not touched on too much today? Maybe it's because of the poor performance, but the goalkeeping situation, it would now appear Raya has played the last 3 games, so what do you think that does for Ramsdale now? Do you think the manager's basically said that Raya is his number 1?
Yeah, most definitely. I see everyone talk about it. They asked on another pod, Ian Wright what he thought about it, but he didn't answer. But I think Ramsdale, to be fair, he needs to support Raya because he's done. I think now, I it's football. You know what I mean? It's a harsh sport, and he has to support Raya and then, you know, push the ball. I'm happy with it.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. All right, well, we got quite a few people waiting to have their say, but thanks very much for your call, and you must call back again soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care. Thanks. Harvey, hey.
Hello, Harvey. How's it going?
This could be incendiary. This could be incendiary.
I'm looking forward to
How
this
are
one.
you two doing?
Not as good as I was doing prior to the game.
I've been better. I've been better, Harvey. You know, it's weird because it absolutely feels like a loss, and for me, not getting a win against Tottenham will always feel like a loss. But how do you feel it went? Do you think this is 2 points dropped or a point gained? Was that a silly question?
Come on, bro. Of course, it's 2 points dropped. It's Tottenham at home.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the team that apparently should be title challengers or Champions League challengers, 4th favorites according to the bookies. Ivan Toney, that's a bad bet, buddy. Don't bet on us. Right? And yet, dropping points against Tottenham at home, dropping points against Fulham at home.
Yeah.
Come on, you know, Tottenham is playing very well and they have some good players, but I think it's fascinating how when we were at the beginning of our process, even when we had some good players, most of which started today, when we would go away to the Liverpools and the cities and the teams that were flying and competing, we'd get embarrassed. But yet Tottenham, 2 months under Ange, even though they have some good players, no Harry Kane, and they come here and bro, bailando, they took us to the cleaner. They made us dance.
You think it's as bad as that?
Of course, bro. Of course it's as bad as that. It's embarrassing, Dory. It's embarrassing. Like, and what baffles me more than anything is that there are still these positivity merchants that want to take the positives out of the game. Listen, I didn't grow up in North London. I don't have that animosity. I hate Tottenham rivalry thing. Growing up, going to school, dealing with that. That's you guys, not me. I'm the city Yank over here who doesn't know anything about the game, according to a lot of people in the chat.
No, you know your stuff,
but
bro.
3
Trust
points
me, you know your stuff.
when you play at home and you're competing for the title. I'm sorry. The objective is you need to win your 19 games at home. Maybe you can get away with a tough, you know, maybe one team like you off the post and the keeper had an incredible game. Fair enough. But we always beat Tottenham at home. This year, I was expecting 3 points at home and probably a loss away at their ground because they're playing well. And we can't even do that.
Yeah, they've not beaten us at the Emirates since 2010.
I'm telling you right now, City at home, even though they don't even have Rodri, season's over right then and there. I'm telling you right now. Last time people said I was being reactionary when I said season was done in February, I ended up being proven right. But here we are again. But let's keep on with the positivity.
It was very disappointing.
Sam's already calling me a dumb yank. Yeah. All right, bro. Enjoy your parade.
No, ignore that.
We signed Declan Rice parade. Do your thing.
No, ignore that. But listen, you do raise some very interesting points. I did say as well that I thought it was our worst performance of the season, especially given the fact that this was such a big game, and the fact that if you think progressively we'd started to get better. So if you go back to I think it was the United game, still weren't at our fluid best, but we played well in spells and we deserved to win. then the Everton game, and then of course the game against PSV. So as far as I was concerned, anyway, today we're coming into this game playing our best football, and then to perform, or the lack of performance that was so palpable today, I find it difficult to explain. Frank?
I would go back even further than that. I'd probably say that was our worst performance since I think me and you done the fan zone that day when we lost to City at the end of last season. Yeah, so I'm starting to think there's a pattern of bad performances in me and Laurie being on fan zone, so that must be what it is. But yeah, look, I think I said it in an interview with you. Something's changed, and it didn't need to be changed. We nearly won. I know it's nearly, but we nearly won the league with the tactics and the system that we had last season. I do not understand why he needed to change it. That's just my personal opinion.
But you know what?
Go ahead.
This is so much more than just today.
Yeah.
Because one of the key goals today was Jorginho, right? Jorginho has the joints of a 97-year-old woman with Alzheimer's. But when we signed him in January, everybody knew that he was just supposed to be a stopgap. The number one option was Caicedo. Everybody knew, all right, 10 million, he'll provide cover for the next 6 months, and after that, we can let him go. Frank, you and I have argued about this for a long time. For how long, for the people in the chat, how long have we been saying we need to sell Thomas Partey and bring somebody else in? How long have I been saying it?
I don't think that was me. I disagree with that opinion.
No, I'm saying I said that.
Oh, right, okay. I see what you mean.
I've been on that train for a long time.
Yeah.
Why? Because I know that the guy has a terrible injury record, and he always misses against the big games.
But when he's available, you can't really argue with the performances. But I understand. I do understand what you're trying to say. Yeah, I kind of understand. Let me know when he's available.
And so, why do we still have? I mean, I was watching the watch along, right? And at one point, I heard somebody say, "Oh, we need to bring El Neni on."
Yeah,
we're trying to compete for a league title against Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, treble winners Manchester City, and we're saying let's bring El Neni on. The fact that we don't have somebody else like a Zubimendi, who we were linked to for such a long time, to keep Jorginho, who's using Arsenal as a retirement home, El Neni, who's here for vibes, and Thomas Partey, who whenever there's a big game coming around, all of a sudden he has cramps and I'm PMSing and I can't play this upcoming game. I mean, come on. I've been saying it, like, we need more quality and depth. And you look at the whole Raya situation. You talked about David Raya. Ramsdale's a young keeper, and when you look at his whole entire Arsenal career, he's actually been very decent. But everyone says, "Oh, Arteta, man's being ruthless." Where's the ruthless for Eddie Nketiah?
Oh, I completely agree.
Where's the ruthlessness there? Where's the ruthlessness for Reece Nelson? Where's the ruthlessness for injury-prone Thomas Partey? Oh, Kieran Tierney. Oh, yeah, you can't play inverted. You go away. But when we all say we need a winger to compete for Xhaka, we need a different profile of striker. No. That's just, that's fine because, they're likable. Well, Aaron Ramsdale, you've been with us for 2 years. You helped to get Champions League football. You're a fan favorite, English homegrown. Nah, you ride the bench. So ruthlessness in some areas, but leniency in others.
Well said.
Yeah, it's difficult to disagree with that. Well said.
But because we signed Declan Rice and we were able to banter West Ham fans, fucking West Ham fans, bro. Oh my God. Because we were able to banter them, amazing season. Even though everybody said at the beginning of the summer transfer window, everyone said we need at least like 5 players. Everyone said we need a different profile striker. We need a winger to compete with Xhaka. We need a replacement for Granit Xhaka. We need another holding midfielder. We probably need another cover as well. We should move on from Jorginho. Everyone says, we need another left back if Kieran Tierney can do it. We probably need another center. Everyone was saying we needed like 5-7 players. We signed 3 players? But 10 out of 10 season because we signed Declan Rice and we can banter the guys who blow bubbles in a stadium where they need binoculars. I probably have a better view over here in the States than they do, but let's banter them on Twitter. So we had a 10 out of 10 summer transfer window. Allow it.
Well, that's what I like about you, Harvey, man. You deliver it uncut and raw, and you certainly made some points there that a lot of people would agree with, I've got to say. But listen, bro, we've got a few other callers on the line, but I do appreciate your call as always. Please call back after we slap up Bournemouth next week.
Brentford or Bournemouth? Is it Brentford or Bournemouth?
Well, we got Brentford during the week.
Oh, right, okay, right, fair enough.
It's Bournemouth in the Premier League. Well,
hey
comes
guys. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Good. So one thing, I think we have to focus on how much we miss Xhaka. I feel like we traded him in a year or two too early. And a great deal of like our successes aside last season came from his personal renaissance. And when we talk about the problems with Havertz, I think the problem is that he's being expected to be someone he's not. That he's being asked to fill the role that Xhaka played without any of the tools, without any of the aggression that Xhaka brought to that. Second thing, I love Bukayo Saka, but his defensive work is the one part of his game that he needs to improve. Like, remember the problems we had at Fulham, the problem with Maddison today. Saka needs to be able to like lock down that wing when he's being assigned defensive duties there. And as much as we love him, I think we have to focus on the fact that defensive work. One thing about the goalkeeping, I was not impressed with Raya's distribution today. He hoofed a lot of balls out of play, long. I didn't see the offensive added value that he was supposed to bring here. And I'm not sure that Ramsdale wouldn't have done as good or as better a job. Finally, I would like to see ESR starting more of these games.
Thank you very much.
I thought he was good on the left when he came in toward the end. I would rather have seen him in earlier in the place of. Are you there?
Reece? Yeah, we're here. Yeah, I
would have rather seen ESR in over Reece Nelson in there on the left. I think.
Yeah, you know what? I was actually a little bit disappointed with Reece Nelson when he come on because I thought to myself, he's come on, he's going to try and attack the fullback, get past him, get round him, and make some crosses. Invariably, what he was doing when he got the ball was tracking back and then passing sideways or behind. And I didn't think that was what he was brought on for. In fact, I'm pretty sure that I saw the manager chastising him on one occasion as if to say, listen, man, I brought you on to try and go past the defender. You're being too passive there. But I do agree that I would like to see more of Smith Rowe, Frank.
Just on that Emil Smith Rowe point as well, because I made the point off camera that having known the information that we had about the injuries, obviously we knew there was going to be no Martinelli. We found out the information about Trossard late. I personally would have actually started Emil Smith Rowe on that right hand or on that left hand side. Sorry, Michael, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a lot of the problem comes from the fact that, like, that we had no real link-up play up front. You know, I don't want to get too harsh on Nketiah there, but, I think we would have done better leaving Jesus in and keeping him in the number 9. So, like, throwing in other options like Reece Nelson on the left toward the end of the game doesn't really change anything because we're not really addressing the fact that there's no cohesion in the attack. All right, look, I know you got a lot of other people. I see the issue of these arms, and I cannot mend it. A slave whose gall coin slanders like a mint to match us in comparisons with dirt. Can you think to blow out the fire with such weak breath as this? Come on, you guys.
Some pearls of wisdom there from Michael, as always. Thank you very much for your call, bro.
Good.
Speak soon.
That guy's great. He
He is, man. He's unique.
He really is.
I bet you don't get anywhere else in the world a caller like that can just go and just recite poems in that way. Right, we've got a few callers left, and
what a start! I can already tell who it is as well. Elliot, welcome to the show, mate.
Be a quite a candid call, and he doesn't look happy.
3, 2, 1.
Right, get it off your chest. Come on, let's have it.
Gentlemen, how are you?
We're good, man. Although I was feeling better prior to 2 o'clock today, but hey, it is what it is.
Gentlemen, let's cut the crap. What we saw today was a side that is, I wouldn't say badly in need of repair, but we need all of our players in order to get our results. And I mean injured and non-injured. This is not a side that you can throw all, the players willy-nilly like, an Emil Smith Rowe or a Reece Nelson and a Ketcha and these sort of players. To touch up to an absolute machine of a club like Man City. Now, when I see the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe coming on late, even though he should have got a little more time, when you see the likes of Nketiah, who should have come off way before Jesus, but again, he was kept on for some ungodly reason. When you see the likes of Havertz, just...
I mean, Smith-Rowe came on, I'm thinking the 85th
go
minute.
through life, dancing through hyacinth and hibiscus, and thinking that it's okay to give a second effort like that. It frustrates a supporter like myself. You cannot be serious to challenge for the league with the players we had out there, especially in the second half. It's not going to work. Now we have to do the hard work of beating Man City at home to even literally think about any sort of title challenge whatsoever.
I'll tell you what was disappointing for me. I'll tell you what was disappointing for me is the fact that I mentioned it earlier. If you look at the performances since the Man United game, they had been getting progressively better. So we hadn't been at our fluid best, but the United game, we looked to be turning a corner. And indeed, against Everton, we were good. And against PSV, we were very good. But then today, it's almost as if we've taken 3 steps forward and now we've taken a step back. And that's very disappointing.
You need only look at a man named Jorginho to see the depths we can fall to as a side. Now, you think, Jorginho, okay, it's a high-profile game. I've been in Champions League before. I've been in Europa Cup finals before. I've won championships and titles. But when a ball is played to me, I want to dribble it about and make an absolute ass of myself when the world is watching, instead of playing a simple pass out wide or just playing it out to win. This is a problem. And I talked to your brother there, Laurie. I said to you about this Jorginho kid. He's got that bozo gene, and lo and behold, it showed up again.
I call it the Chelsea gene.
It showed up again. You can say Chelsea gene, you can say bozo gene. I don't want to say they're similar. They're interchangeable. They're absolutely interchangeable. You're right. Well said. Now, we are having to. We fought so hard to get that. We are actually lucky to get that penalty. To be fair.
No, I thought that was a penalty. I thought that was a penalty. But you are right. But you are right. We're having got the penalty and got 2-1 in front. You're expecting us now to kick on and see the game out. Instead of that, we give away a goal within a minute. It wasn't even a minute probably of scoring. That was so disappointing. And the fact that it was such an unforced error by one of our more experienced players, one of the players you would expect is least capable of doing that, actually does that. Then that just kind of summed up the day, to be honest. But listen, bro, you've got it off your chest. We hear you. We agree with much of what you say, but we've got to move on. We've got another call on the line. Please call back next week.
Thank you very much, Elliot.
We'll be in a...
one more thing, guys. One more thing. For the love of Christ. One more thing. For the love of Christ, rest Xhaka in the midweek. I beg of you.
Rest who, sorry?
I double beg.
Xhaka.
Rest Bukayo Saka in the midweek.
Agreed.
Okay.
For the love of Christ, Arteta.
Well, it's interesting about Saka. It's interesting you say that because I made a comment. Some people sort of looked at me a little surprised when I said it. And I said, okay, he got the 2 goals. Give him credit for that. But I didn't think he had a great game. And, of course, he got skinned by Maddison, which led to their first goal. So, hey, man, it is what it is.
But listen, playing 270 minutes was good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, bro. Please call
Elliot.
back
Take
again
care.
very soon. You're always welcome.
Yes, man.
Take care. Yeah, I said that. I didn't think Saka had one of his best. I mean, don't get me wrong. He didn't have a bad game, and he did get the 2 goals. So, hey.
He also got man of the match.
Yeah, well, I didn't agree with that, to be honest. To me, my man of the match would have been Saliba. But I guess if you get both goals in a North London derby, I can see why they gave him that. But do you really think he was Arsenal's best player today?
I wouldn't say he was our best player. I'm just not as critical as others have been about him today because ultimately, he doesn't score those 2 goals. We've lost to Tottenham.
And you've got to give him credit as well to step up and take the penalty.
Absolutely.
That requires a lot of gumption.
My man of the match, and it kind of sums up the game. I actually would have gone for Raya. I'm not sure if he
Wow.
was. I'm not sure if he was there for the
Well, you're a
interviews, but-
goalkeeper, so expand upon that.
Yeah, but I mean, it mainly is because I don't think anyone played it absolutely amazing out on the field. It's close between Saliba and Raya for me.
I would have given it to
But that save that gets made, and the fact that he looks so comfortable within the game
did.
as well, it just makes. He looks like he's been. I think I've said this before. He looks like he's been there for 10 years. He just He's just so composed in there. Not to say that Ramsdale wasn't, but Raya takes it to another level in terms of his composure and coming to receive the ball, which Ramsdale's not particularly great at. I'd say that Ramsdale's the better shot stopper, but Raya for me is the smarter goalkeeper, and that's what's important. But no Raya today, I think we lose that game. So my man of the match would have been Raya.
Yeah, he did make an excellent save.
Yeah.
Although some
Seaman-esque.
people were speculating that I think it was Tottenham's, was it their first or second goal, where he tipped it behind him.
So yeah,
could have done a little bit
I think
better.
Gula Lee had said this, and I said this in my fan cam as well. I think that was slightly too critical because I think the argument is, he probably should have caught it, but he's on the back foot. If he catches that, he's only going in one direction. It's him and the ball going into the back of the net, so you can't catch it. Yes, maybe you could have tried to tip it over the bar, but again, you don't get a strong enough hand to that. The ball's still going in the back of the net. So I think people were slightly harsh on Raya because of that. So I think he done more than enough in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a decent game, but hey. Okay then, so that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap up this full-time show. Suffice to say that a lot of the people who called up, you could hear their disappointment come through.
Understandably as well.
And that is understandable because that's exactly how I felt for the most part. I felt like it was a game where we come into this game with a lot of optimism, but unfortunately we didn't perform today. Spurs did perform well, you got to give them credit. But I still think that was probably our worst performance of the season. We just couldn't string 3, 4, 5 passes together. Whereas the other day, right in the opening minute, I forget, was it the PSV game or the game before? I think it was about a minute and a half before the opposition touched the ball.
Yeah, I think
we
it was
didn't get
PSV.
anywhere near close to that today. We just weren't at our fluent best. And the best thing I can say about today is that we come out the game with a draw when on any other day we could well have been staring defeat down the barrel.
100%.
So it is what it is. But listen, Frank, thanks very much for coming on.
Happy to help.
Thanks also to James. I've not seen him. I'm not sure if he's gone, but
he's
thanks to
gone
him.
now, yeah.
And most of all, thanks to all the people out there who called in. Really appreciate that. Keep them locked and loaded on AFTV. We'll be back on Wednesday. Arsenal take on Brentford in the Carabao Cup. Now, some people would say that is not a big game, but to me that is an important game. It's a chance for silverware. It's a chance to give some of the players on the fringe an opportunity to show what they can do. So I will be locked and loaded and tuned into that game, and I hope you will be too. And don't forget, of course, next week, Saturday, we got Bournemouth in the Premier League. So thanks again to everybody. Keep it locked and loaded on AFTV, and we'll speak to you very soon. Cheers.